Krystal Ball is one of my favorite unofficial Bernie Sanders surrogates. She's on CNN all the time, which is really sick because she gets to burst all of the corporate bubbles, and she does that once again on New Day. Really quickly, before we jump into the video, I want to let you guys know I'm over on Patreon. That's patreon.com/TheProgressiveVoice. Link can be found down below in the description. A lot of Patreon-only content. Make sure to go over there and check that out. Again, link in the description box down below. Now, we're going to check out is Krystal's on after Bernie Sanders demolished in Nevada. And so she's basically just going to give them a full lesson, a school-type lesson on just a lot of things about Bernie's electability. But most importantly, she's going to burst a lot of the corporate talking points that are used against Bernie Sanders. In fact, she kind of pops all of them, like pretty much every single one. So let's let her take it away.
Look, there's been no evidence of this Bernie Sanders ceiling for quite a long time. He has the highest favorability ratings of any of the candidates. People trust him most on the issues that matter most to him, which are healthcare and climate change in poll after poll. They just needed permission to vote for him. They needed to feel like after, decades of being told you can't vote for someone who holds these views because they'll be unelectable, they needed to feel like it would be okay for them to vote for someone who they agree with on these issues. And of course, the more he wins, the more he makes the case that he is that electable person. And so to me, actually, those numbers were the most interesting coming out of Nevada. This was really the first state where when you ask voters, do you care more about someone who matches my principles or someone who can beat Donald Trump? Bernie Sanders won both groups. So he's not only the values candidate at this point, he's also the electability candidate. And I think that marks a major turning point in the race. First of all, we don't have to guess, hope, wish what would happen in Trump versus Bernie. We have polls that show him polling the best against Trump. So I want to reassure all my
Florida,
centrist friends out there. I also think he has several paths to win. I mean, his strength with Latinos really opens up that Sunbelt path. He's always had strength in the industrial Midwest. So if you look across the board, to me, it's very clear he's not only the best candidate to win back some of the working class folks who went for Donald Trump, but also to expand the base with those young folks and those Latino voters that Democrats have been trying to reach out to and trying to bring in the fold and trying to get out to the polling places for so long. It should be an incredibly exciting development. I also want to say, I think it's a total myth that he hasn't been vetted yet. I mean, the last debate, yes, Bloomberg took a lot of hits. Bernie also got very much challenged on the Bernie bro narrative. Bloomberg called him a communist. He's been facing demands to release more of his medical records. The whole Red Scare, did you say nice thing about communist regimes back in the 70s and 80s during the Cold War? That's all been litigated before. So look, I think he's ready to handle any of these attacks. And I also think that the idea that he said something moderately positive about Fidel Castro is going to turn off people who ultimately want healthcare and a good job. I just think that's fanciful thinking. Look,
so she literally just went on there, and within the span of barely anything, we just saw 2 minutes of footage, and she literally popped every single media narrative and media talking point against Bernie Sanders. So the point she makes there about how the numbers on Bernie Sanders' electability is actually a crucial point that I have not heard people talking about, including myself. I have not talked about that, but I did see numbers from the poll. I think it was the entrance poll for Nevada that basically showed that they now believe Bernie Sanders is the candidate with the best shot to defeat Trump. And I came to you, I told you, I think I had a video titled The Secret to Bernie Sanders Winning or something like that. And it was basically, dude, he needs to convince people, and I was saying this for a while, he needs to convince people he is the most electable candidate, because for a lot of people, electability is more important than the issues. And so that's what I came out saying. And so it's really cool to see that those numbers have now coincided, essentially. It's really cool. Now, the Bernie ceiling is this dumb talking point we've been hearing for a while. Oh, he's hit his ceiling. He can't go anywhere. And they started doing this embarrassing stuff where, the graphics where they would combine the moderate vote and then put it up against Bernie. Oh, look! The moderates defeat Bernie Sanders. Obviously, it's hilarious because people don't vote on ideological lines. And so if you look at morning consult polls, you'll be shocked to find out the plurality of Joe Biden second choice voters, second choice of Joe Biden, the plurality actually goes to Bernie Sanders. So it's not like they're really going on ideological lines. And so that doesn't help you. That's why in the second alignment, Bernie did so well in Nevada. And then, the whole vetting thing. I've been hearing that for a while. If you're on Twitter like I am all the time, you're super online, you see these loser centrist Democrats who are like, okay, well, now it's time for Bernie to be vetted like Hillary Clinton was. You think Bernie hasn't been vetted? You think that people haven't been searching through Oppo research for decades? Bro, they've literally posted videos. They found like these unearthed videos. They unearthed videos of him in the Soviet Union like drinking some beer or whatever, like having fun. And it's like, dude, they've literally tried throwing the kitchen sink at him. Every possible thing. And Peter Dow, the guy who's the Hillary dude, has literally came out and said, dude, it was my job to literally find Oppo research on Bernie. I couldn't find any. We could not find any. So there is no fucking Oppo research. He's already been vetted, dude. They've literally gone through every single little thing. And when you have to be like, he comes out and says, yeah, the literacy rates in Cuba was cool. And then you come out and say, oh, you praised Castro? It's like, dude, everyone just laughs at you. No one takes you seriously, because to me, that's a sign of desperation. And that's why I'm just like, oh, wow. Real great attack, bro. You've been calling him a communist this entire time, and it's failing gargantuan. It's failing massively, okay? And so it's like, it's laughable, dude. It's so fucking laughable. But really glad that Krystal Ball is on there to just pop all of these media narratives one by one.